Well, welcome everybody to Signature Style Saturday. I've got stuff that I want to get done in the garden and in my house. So I'm making sure that I do all of my stretches today. My back is almost better, but it's still a work in progress. So what we've got on slate for today, I'm going to plant the window box. We're going to take a surprise visit to Stuart's home and give you a little tour of his kitchen and his living room. I've got a couple of surprise seedlings that have come up in the garden that I want to show you. The tulips in the back are really spectacular right now. And then I've got, of course, my question of the day that I want your input on. So what do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, this may be one of the more fun segments we have ever done. So we're at Stuart's house, or I should say Stuart's studio. As you guys may know, Stuart is a musician in addition to being a videographer. He's just all things techno. So Stuart, this might be kind of weird for you, but just do, just do a little surround of where you create the magic. So periodically we will come here and we'll work together. Stuart can access things on our website, on our computer, pictures or whatever, and we work in here. But look at his fun appointments. It's definitely very 60s retro. I love, what is this, Stuart? This is just a tarp?
Like a tapestry, kind of it's a mandala is the design.
Yeah, a mandala.
Mandala, yeah.
Yeah. And then these blocks that he's got surrounding. This is actually what would have been probably the dining room or part of the living room, but he's converted it into his office because of, just the spaciousness of it.
I was in a room back there and I realized I had this space and thought, why am I not while I live alone, this is the perfect space.
Right, yeah. Office. And just FYI, his daughter Julia just moved out not too long ago.
Empty nester.
And he's an empty nester now. She's a graduate student. But as I started to say earlier, all of these right here, these are all for what purpose?
They essentially trap all the reverberation, so it makes the sound more of an accurate representation of what you're creating. Therefore, you don't go listen to it on speakers somewhere else and it sounds completely different.
Okay, so it's acoustical reasons.
Yes,
so what's fun for me when I come here, and he does have a little bit of a guitar collection because he does play the guitar.
Quite a fan.
And behind the scenes, periodically when he comes over to my house and I'm not ready or he's hanging out with Hubs, then he'll just play the guitar while he's sitting there on Hubs' guitar that Hubs typically doesn't play very often. So here are some things that I just get a kick out of when I come here. Okay, so remember this, you guys, from a thrifting expedition. This is on one of the room dividers when we come in. Here's something else. Lots of Linda touches here. So he's got his Grateful Dead tapestry right here, and then one of the Contas. When I got a big package of these Contas to use, to use as tablecloths, and I got them the idea from John Turman. So I think it just looks really cool as befitting a bachelor musician. He's even got candles lit for me. He said he stayed up last night so he could really clean things up and get it looking good. But this area is very cozy in here. And here's a sweet little nod to his grandparents. This home that Stuart lives in now was built by his grandparents. What's their names?
It's Bob and Nan.
Bob and Nan.
Gran and Mama.
Yeah. And then I see some pillows on the floor that were hand-me-downs from me to make kind of a cozy vibe. Now this, and we're gonna put it down because it looks so sleek and so cool. I'm doing a collaboration with Averon Smart Rower, which I adore, by the way. And I didn't have room for it at my house at the cottage. So Stuart is keeping it here because it looks like it just fits in. It's so industrial modern. It's so good looking. And this way, Stuart doesn't live very far from me. I can come over and I can row while we work. Hubs can come over here. Hubs and I used to row about 3 or 4 years ago. We took rowing classes pretty regularly. My son Johnny rode for a while when he was in college. So at any rate, it's really fun. And this way we can all exercise and work simultaneously. So it turned out to be a brilliant solution. And then look at his cute kitchen. So we actually have, I think we've shot a couple of videos here before. This is a hand-me-down from me. This little cart right here is a hand-me-down from me. What else do we have here? Oh, this is a hand-me-down from me. I recognize these, yes, from Boo Boo's Treats. This came from me. This is one of my QVC baskets, and I think, didn't I gift you this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe I have one more somewhere.
Yeah, so I gifted this to you. Look, Stuart makes me French press coffee when I come. He makes delicious coffee. Today he even had muffins for me. Yes, bought the muffins. This print over here next to the orange guitar, orange or red guitar. Didn't you get this at Bricks? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, okay, at Bricks. I love this.
She still has a lot of them too, yeah.
Yeah, she still has. You might need another one. Anyhow, looks great here. And then he's got his sleek kitchen. And look what he even did. Okay, this is hysterical. I'm sure you keep this here all the time. I'm sure, I just now noticed it. I'm sure you keep this here all the time. I am sure you do. I don't see any Manicora honey, so you must have eaten it all, Stuart.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. We need to get you some more. And then you've got, remember when we went to Doug Needham's and you got this?
I'm keeping that one alive slowly.
Orchid, you're keeping it alive, and
I try with that one.
And sometimes
the small ones have bloomed like 6 times now.
Yeah, so alive is good, but this is a really great entertaining space. So okay, so Stuart is single. So if any of you guys out there or gals want to introduce him to somebody, well, there you go. He's got a great bachelor pad. So it's just comfortable. It's homey. His daughter Julia is a huge baker, and she has baked lots of goodies. Lots of goodies in this kitchen. He's obviously got a thing for coffee. He's got a fancy schmancy coffee maker.
The coffee maker is absolutely amazing and changed my life at least a little bit.
And what brand is it?
It's a Breville. I think that's how you say it, Breville.
Breville. Okay.
It's just a real deal machine that makes real deal coffee. So
okay. Well, we'll put a link in case you guys are looking for a fancy schmancy coffee maker like this.
When you drink coffee as much as I do, it's good to.
Yeah, and then you can get kind of a long view of all of his hip light fixtures, his string lights. Well, like I say, it's very befitting of a bachelor musician.
I like this.
Yep. So there you go. Stuart, let's put this down so we can show them a still of the Everon Smart Rower because it's so cool looking. It just looks très chic. I don't know. It looks like something that would be in a loft apartment or a musician bachelor's apartment. Well, you guys, I might be more excited about this collaboration. Well, let me just say it's in the top 3. This is so exciting. Today I'm going to tell you about the Everon Smart Rower. A little bit of history. About 3 years ago, and I'm kind of out of breath because it's a great workout. About 3 or 4 years ago, Hubs and I were pretty dedicated rowers. We used to go 3 times a week at 6 o'clock in the morning to a rowing class. We did that for about a year, and then sadly that location closed, and we haven't been rowing since then. So when Everon approached me about this, I could not be more thrilled because rowing, in case you're not aware, is one of the best exercises you can do. It's low impact. I think it works 86% of all of your muscles. Even for me with my lower back pain, in fact, that's one of the reasons I started rowing earlier, and maybe it's one of the reasons my back pain has come back because I quit rowing. But what's great about this, I mean, it is smooth as can be. It's just like rowing on the water. The seat it's some kind of like cloud seat, and it's a double wide, so it'll be great for hubs. It's so comfortable, and the thing is, it's interactive, and as I said earlier, it's smart. So number one, that means I can have community. I can compete with hubs. I can compete with Stuart. I can compete with myself. If I'm somebody who likes to do something else while I am, a multitasker. So while I'm here, and let me demonstrate, I can do nothing but just look at my metrics monitor, but I can also, so I can play games, I can take classes, like some of these coached classes, things like that. And particularly if you're new, learn to row, I'll probably be doing that a little bit initially, just so that I can remember good bodily form and things. But then you can also, and I love this, there we go. You can do this virtual rowing. So for me, like today, if I want to go to Amsterdam, there I can definitely go. I can put in all of my different parameters, which I'm not going to show you right now, but I can then save it and I can go. And it will then just take me to my workout of choice, which today happens to be on the canals in Amsterdam.
I hadn't done this yet.
And listen to the sound effects. It's absolutely wonderful. And I think, I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are, but you are 10 times, that again, that's not an exact metric. You are so much more likely to work out if you're playing a game, if you're doing something interactive like this. And listen to the cadence of those waves. Now, if rowing isn't your thing, Aviron also has other kinds of exercise equipment that are also gamified. They've got a treadmill. I think they've got a bike. This is one of the highest rated rowing machines, and I can definitely see why. I can watch TV. If you're one of those people that likes to, for habit change, pair this with that. You could watch a movie while you're doing this and only when you're rowing. But I find this just so soothing and very, very meditative. I can already feel it's kind of working my glutes. You want to push with your legs. You want to bend at your hips. You don't want to roll your back. Stuart, you need to concentrate on me and not on the canals. And then obviously you can set your own intensity level. This is just beyond fun. Talk about a luxury. And I know that it's an investment, but you guys, Hubs and I spent quite a bit of money going to those classes. And this way the whole family can use it. You can personalize your profile. You can save your metrics to know, where you are at any point in time. And like I say, I can feel it. And it's a full body workout. Smooth. And I love the cadence of the water. So if you guys want to check this out, do your research and just click on the link below. There might be a special QR code, because I tell you, this Aviron Smart Rower is smart exercise. Okay, so this is the kind of gardening job that I like because I don't have to bend over at all. And what do I need? Well, I've got my Cobra Head weeder, which actually is great for digging down into the window box and getting out clumps of things that I no longer want in here. For example, those little okay, yes, sorry. Okay, so for example, the little daffodils that really didn't do much of anything, I think because of our wonky last freeze, and I'm digging those out. But you can see that the quality of the soil in here is really, really good. And Stuart, we showed before just how much these Irish mint euonymus had grown. and they just really are thriving in the window box. I think I'm still going to do a little bit more pruning on this one. I'm being cautious about my drip irrigation that's in here. And then I'm just going to work the formula. Now, what's my formula? Well, some of it's for now and some of it's for later. Stuart, back up just a little bit and give me a little bit of room here. Okay, so I've got some catmint here. This is catmint chartreuse on the loose. Good morning. And it will do it will do great here with this south exposure. Now, a number of you asked specifically, let's go over here for just a minute, Stuart, because a number of you asked if I could share what variety this catmint was, because some of you just really love the way it grows out in tufts. And this variety is Persian blue, and I believe we've got a link of a number of places you can get it. You can just Google it and they can mail it to you. Now, what I love is it comes out in that characteristic signature color that I love, blooms in blue, and as I said, I just love the tufts. And this is the second year for them, and so they have really, those tufts have really grown and almost doubled in size. But let's go back to the window box. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put some of that catmint on both sides, chartreuse on the loose on both sides. I love this lavender color. And I got all of this at Bricks, by the way. So if you want to check out Bricks, this is where I got it. And you can probably still find it there. Okay, the other component, because what I love about this window box, well, let me just say, there's something I love about it and something that I don't love about it. What I love about it is I've got these fixture plants in it that I don't have to replant every year. Surprisingly, this Sunshine Ligustrum that I have really pruned back very, very hard is also doing magnificently in the window box. So these are fixtures that are here year round. And then all I have to do is just add my seasonal color. And I'm trying to incorporate more perennials as seasonal color so that these will become fixture plants too. Then I'll have to just come back later with small pockets of seasonal color. I don't think I'll be planting bulbs in here again since they didn't do very well. So live and learn, and I'll make a notation of that in my garden journal. So my second component that I've got, you guys know I love salvia. This is Mirage Deep Purple. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and if I keep it deadheaded, it should rebloom throughout the summer. So I'm going to create a couple of pockets right here. Boy, the wind is kicking up today. So I'm going to loosen that root ball a little bit, but these are not root bound at all. And I'm just going to tuck it in here, slightly cascading over the side. Okay, slightly cascading over the side because plants don't necessarily know which way is up. Their root system doesn't anyway. So I'll tuck that down in there, secure it pretty well, and this will give it room to grow in towards the front and also towards the back. Now I'm also planting, I'm doing some investment planting for later in the summer, things that will thrive. So right now, these Mandevilla, this is Sun Parasol Marvelous. Sun Parasol Marvelous. I also got this at Bricks. These are not such a much right now, but boy, when the heat kicks in a little bit later, they will be gorgeous. So I've planted one of those over on this side. You can see it's already in place. I've still got some room here that I could tuck in probably some 4-inch pots of lantana or pentas a little bit later, and then I'll have the pink of this Mandevilla. So something I tried earlier that I was hoping would be more successful than it was this Bacopa. So it's not doing much in here. So I'm going to take this out, which is why this little Cobra scooper works great. I'm going to take this out and I will just transplant it someplace else. So I'm going to temporarily set it right there. And then on this side, with my little hoe, And last year, you may recall, I had vervain in here, and I liked it, but it was almost a little too rambunctious, and I wanted a little bit cleaner of a look this year. Okay, so I'm just going to keep doing that here, again, being watchful of my irrigation heads. And in this box, I think somebody commented that these weren't perfectly symmetrical in front of the windows, and they're not, but I'm not going for perfect symmetry here. Stuart is smiling. I'm not going for...
They don't have to be perfect.
They don't have to, this perfectly imperfect. I want the illusion of symmetry. It doesn't have to be exact, and I'm okay with that. If I had an extremely formal garden, then I might be more worried about it, but this is a cottage garden, so it's okay. I want some symmetry, but not a ton. So I've got another one of these that I'm going to plant on the other side. Loosen up the root ball. Again, there's good soil in here. Make it spill over the edge already, which gives the illusion of maturity, whether it's mature or not. And then here is surprise seedling number one. Here's thing one. Look here. There's a pumpkin. There's another pumpkin. Yes, there's a little pumpkin. Yeah, you never know where they are going to erupt. And I'm going to pull this guy out. I need to move my basket over here. Move this guy out, and maybe I'll leave him in there for a little while. What do you say? I mean, why not? Okay, now see over here some of that vervain. I'm going to dig that out. I'm going to take out Bacopa number 2. This is a lesson in don't let your plants boss you. So if something isn't working and you don't like it, then by golly, you just take it out. So while I struggle with this, we're going to take a break here, and we'll be right back. Okay, now this is what I'm talking about. That vervain being just a little too rambunctious. It's being a thug. So out it goes. Now, I started to say earlier that the thing I like about this is it will be planted with things that will continually come back, which will save me time and expense later. What I kind of don't like about this window box compared to my one at my former home, and Stuart, if you want, we can put up a picture of that right here, is that it had this one, just because of the size of this space and the scale of the window, it couldn't be as wide as my other one. My other one was equally as long. Well, maybe this one is even longer, but it's not as wide. It doesn't have as much depth. So it's a little bit more of a challenge to get things planted in here because the root zone is a little bit more constricted. So I'm going to put in this next mandevilla. See, this is a perfect root ball, you guys, a perfect root ball. It will establish very, very quickly. Just tuck in the other soil around it. This viola is going to stay here for a little while. And now from a distance, it will look a little bit like this is already kind of mature. Now I'll get out my blower. I will water this in. I'm going to always step back and see how things look. I'm going to leave these in here. Oh, I've got one more to plant over here, Stuart. You didn't tell me. Got one more guy. One more catmint over in here to plant. Look at, this is really good soil in here. Look at, really good soil. So I don't even have to do any soil amendment. And I am kind of just cramming these in here. Now, this kind of cramming, I wouldn't necessarily do in the summer because they would be too stressed by the heat. But I can do that this time of year because it's still comparatively cool and because I have checked my forecast and we have rain on the horizon, probably on the day of the tour. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Here on the prairie, we take rain whenever we can get it, don't we? Okay. So when this grows, it's going to be spectacular, spilling out over the edge. Right now, it may not look too dramatic, but I'm okay with that because I know what potential it holds, especially when I come back at a later date and I put more seasonal color in there. Now I need to figure out, and you know what? Maybe I'll just do it now. Let's try this. As you can see, I am very loosey-goosey. So right now, I've got a little bit more planting space in here. So maybe I will take some of this bacopa and put it in the front, and that additional volume will make that spill out more over the edge. Sometimes when I'm planting a container, I want it to look complete and perfect immediately. Good morning, did you get them? Oh, you are so welcome, see ya. Isn't she adorable? So she is on the parent-teachers committee down at Wilson Elementary School. I think I told you that I'm starting to do more with them, and I'm being auctioned off. I'm doing, I'm going to host a brunch for 6. And so she was getting some information so that she could share it at the auction. So she just picked that up. I didn't even see her sneak up on the front porch, did you?
I heard her.
You heard her? Okay.
She was sneaky.
Okay. So lucky am I. Okay, again, this doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical. It just has to give the illusion of some symmetry, so by the time it grows out from the street, and that's what I care about right now, is that from the street it will project color, and as this grows in, I would say probably in a week and a half to 2 weeks, because we're going to get some rain, it's going to be just fine. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here, Stuart. And by the way, if you guys don't already have one of these indispensable works blowers, you need to get one because they are incredible. Let me come up here. I could probably leave this and the wind would get it eventually. And there you have it. The window box is complete. Aren't those tulips pretty? You can see the different colors are starting to come out. Lots and lots of walkers today, taking in the sights. Okay, speaking of works tools, I have my pruner that Stuart is afraid of. We'll put a link to this below too. By the way, the battery is interchangeable between this pruner and that blower, so I don't have to worry about compatibility. Now, one thing I'm trying to do in this area is, well, I'm getting ready to update it. I want it to look a little less busy. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off this wreath. I don't want it here right now. The awning, by the way, is going to be installed on Monday, and I'm happy about that. It's been a little bit of a process. Remember, eventually this rose is going to be growing up and over and blooming, and it will continue to grow in that direction. And I'm thrilled that I have so many buds on it. I did indeed feed it with my rose tone the other day. So, Stuart, how many more buds do we have now than we had last time we checked? There's especially, oh yeah, there's a bunch. Okay, so back to my decision point. Last season, I think one of the things I wanted to do was, or I asked you as a question of the day, was do I want to topiary these Oakland hollies, or do I want them to just grow up in kind of a columnar form? And I've decided that I just want them to be in a traditional Christmas tree form. So these outliers right here, boy are they healthy. So much new growth coming on these. This is a stellar holly. This is one in the Southern Living Plant Collection. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take my pruners, and I'm going to get them so that they're approximately symmetrical, and then I will let them grow up from this point, and they can get taller from this point, but I don't want these outliers anymore. So right above a leaf node, I'm just going to take those off. Now, if it were Christmas time, I probably could have done this at Christmas time. I would have brought these in, and wouldn't these be gorgeous in an arrangement? So I'm not going to do that now. I'm not going to hold on to them, but I am going to prune this one off. And let me tell you, this time of year, this is a good time to prune them because they're in very, very active growth. And they will respond to this pruning immediately, and I think really, really perform well. Again, they're not exactly symmetrical, but I'm okay with that. It's kind of the illusion of symmetry, and by the time I get that awning up there, you won't be able to tell. This is an encore azalea that blooms in kind of a beautiful bicolor, pink and white. And it took a little bit of a hit this winter, but I have fed it and I think it'll be fine, and I anticipate it'll probably bloom late. This might get moved a little bit later. And then you guys are probably going to ask me, these are solar lights that I bought, and I believe they came separately. So I got these solar lights. I don't have to do anything, and they illuminate at night right here, and I put them on these shepherd hooks. So they work perfectly for this, even though this is a door to nowhere. Now, someone once said, why don't you get rid of that door to nowhere? Hair in my mouth. Get rid of that door to nowhere since it really doesn't do anything. Well, number one, I can't just get rid of it. This is a historic preservation area after all. And number two, I mean, it would be astronomically expensive. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it here. I like the fact that it's a nod to the past. It's an architectural, it's architectural archaeology in this old neighborhood, so I'm just fine with that. So I'm going to leave that alone, and thank you for your service, but I'm going to discard these. Okay, let's do a little design lesson. Not that I am schooled professionally in design, but it's all about scale, I think. And there were a number of comments on a couple of things about scale, and this is an example where, again, I am okay with perfectly imperfect. So I bought a new umbrella, and by the way, I'm going to put this up, I'm going to snap it up, but I'm not going to keep it up in all likelihood because it's very breezy today. Now, in the past, I had a gray umbrella here, and that gray umbrella was 9 feet. 9 feet wide. Well, this one is actually 10 feet, which scale-wise might be a little bit too large from this space, for this space, but when you stand back, I think it looks perfectly fine. And this is where I want to make a concession to practicality and utility, because I want more shade over this area than the 9 foot provided me. So Stuart, let's snap it open. Okay, so you can see it is indeed larger. It has a valance that the other one did not have. This is a nod to the valance that's going to be on the awnings. When you're standing up here, you'll see how I get noticeably more shade. Now, the furniture is not in its correct position right now. It'll move over this way a little bit. I'll get all of this cleaned up, and actually I've got one of my chairs in the workshop now, getting a section of it needed to be glued. So once all of this is in place and cleaned up, we'll show you what it looks like from the street, from the sidewalk. But as I said earlier, this isn't going to stay up long because it's a little too windy today. Okay, so let's talk about scale. I loved this comment from one of my last videos by something, I can't remember what the handle was, Hort something. And she said, Linda, do you think that maybe these pots in scale are a little bit too small for the size of the railings and the composition of the overall vignette? And if I look now, they're a little bit too small in scale. I concur with that. But see what happens once the contents grow out. So right now, I've got these filled with Bacopa, and this is Bacopa in pink, and some of these violas. Now they will continue to grow and actually spill out and cascade by next weekend. But particularly in the summer, when I fill these with lantana and other sprawlers, you'll see that it will be twice, if not 3 times as large in scale once these things grow out. So right now, they're at this point, and next summer when the lantana and everything grows out, they'll be like this big. So it's not just the scale of the planter when they're empty, it's also the scale of the entire composition, including the plants. So this way, they fit perfectly on these pedestals that I've created here, and over time, the scale will be just right, especially when the top grows out all the way to here. Okay, here's a tip. Do not mow your grass when it's wet. So, Hubs came out here this morning and he was going to mow the grass for me, and he said, oh, but it's too wet. And I said, then don't do it. So we're waiting for the grass to dry out. But my little reel mower, this is an American reel mower, and I'm going to have to clean it up now because it's got all of that wet, grassy foliage that's attached to the runners. I'm going to have to clean that up before I finish. But that's a tip in case you don't know it, whether it's a power mower or it's a reel mower like this, powered by moi. You don't want to mow your lawn when it is wet. It makes it more difficult to mow. It is harder on the machine, it is harder on the person, and it's also really not a good practice if you want to prevent the spread of disease, of fungal disease and anything like that. So it is breezy enough today that in short order this will dry out and I will be able to give it a quick mow in between my power mowing done by the crew when they come once a week. But right now it's growing so fast that I really like to mow it in between with my little push mower. Good. Okay, here we have our seedling surprise for today. That is a pumpkin seedling that is just coming up there in between those bricks. I might even try to transplant it someplace else. But I've got some even more exciting seedlings that I want to point out to you. And if you walk by at any given time, you will see me. Boy, look at the sun, Stuart. Let's do a pan of that. How pretty does that look with the sunlight on it? But you will see me hunched over, probably one of the reasons my back always hurts, because there are so many great seedlings that are getting ready to be relocated, but I have to discover them first. But before we move on, look at that salvia. Look at all those buds. By next weekend, that should be spectacular. Okay, so come up this way if you would. Follow me, sir. I'm going to put down my drink. On my garden bench, a number of you asked me to give you the exact, there are so many versions of this garden bench. Yeah, so I put, and I'll put on Instagram, but it's also in the description box. To get this exact one, go to the description box, and it will, which is below the video on my homepage, and you will see the exact link to this. And by the way, I got it in red so that when I'm using it in the back, it will match all of my red tableau. Okay, so we're going to come over in here. Millions of seedlings, but here are the ones I am especially excited about. Now, it took some real sharp-eyed observation to see. Look at these right here. Can you see those little purple ones right there? Right there, and look at their, so this is seedling identification. Look at their very distinct form of the way they've, the seedling comes out. So I see over here, here's another one. Here's another one in green, and look at all of them right here. So you are probably, ooh, there's another one right there. There's another one right there. They are just everywhere. Now before, oh, and a bunch here. Before they get overtaken by the larkspur and get shaded out, I am going to relocate them to the back. And I'm sure you're wondering what they are. And when we come back, I'll reveal their identity. Okay, now before I reveal their identity, I spy a couple of them over here. These are in a green version. Can you see that very distinctive seedling right there? There's one there, there's one there, there's one here, there's one here. And why am I so excited? Because those are little basil seedlings. They are the seedlings of the purple ball basil and of the boxwood basil. I let them go to seed here last year. They were covered up by leaves, and lo and behold, they endured through the winter, and I will be able to transplant those, if I so choose, to my raised beds in the back. The fact that they made it through this very brutal spell we had not long ago, well, that to me is just another nature's miracle. I am so excited. I know you guys laugh at me at how excited I get over stupid things like that, but it gives me an inordinate amount of joy. So that is the art form, the science, and the absolute delight of seedling identification, especially when they are surprise seedlings. So as you can see from the street, it may look a little bit oversized, but it's not terribly oversized. I'm up here holding it into place so it doesn't do the same thing as my other one did, and that's bend at the base and crater, because the gusts of wind are up to 25 to 30 miles an hour today. So now that you see it and you kind of see from a distance what this looks like here, I am going to put it down and secure it in place. Okay, so it's all about practical matters. I have an outlet right here underneath my mailbox, and it is perfect because on days that I'm using my Works power tools, I can just plug it in, and I've got a double charger here. So at any given moment, I can replace a discharged battery with a charged one. And I just leave it here while I'm working, and then when I'm finished, I can put it up. But it's really a good practical kind of thing to have a newly charged battery at the ready when you're using your power tools. Okay, so here's my question of the day. I want you guys to help me out on this. So I love this little sedum Pure Joy that I put into these pots. I think it looks very dear. Now, I just got up from the basement, I got out my bunny because it's all about, well, it's Easter time. And in fact, tomorrow on the Garden Life, we're going to talk about Easter, a little bit of Easter decor, and we're going to go inside. But I've got this darling concrete bunny, and yes, we will put a link. It's in the description box below. This is pretty heavy, you guys. So I could keep this out here, or I could bring it inside. But here is my question for you. What do I want to put in this? So if I had a small 4-inch moss, a la like this Scotch moss up here, that's a little bit blown to bits, I would like to put that in there, or it could be in green, but I haven't seen any. Then the other alternative I have is I've got another perfect clump of this in the back. So I could put a perfect clump of that sedum in here, and I think that would be pretty. Or I could get any kind of little 4-inch house plant. I could get a little fern, I could get a little ivy, I could get any kind of house plant and put it in here. I could even probably do just a 4-inch pot of violas or something. So that is my question for you, the question of the day. What should I put in my little concrete bunny? Oh my gosh. Oh, I see. Now I see your t-shirt on. I walked it the past 2 years and I didn't get signed up this year. I don't think I'm going to have time, but when is it? What's the date? 20. That's late.
So it's the 25th anniversary for the run.
Yeah.
30 years from
Oh, wow.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it is a big one. Well, I'm impressed, ladies.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. I won't be participating, but I'll be shouting and rooting for you.
We'll wave to you.
Okay. Okay. See ya. Well, I love the fact that those ladies reminded me, as if any of us really need reminding, about the Oklahoma City Marathon. Its 25-year anniversary. The run is going to be coming up on April 27th. The anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing, which happened on April 19th, is going to be 30 years ago. I can't believe that was 30 years ago. Many of you have seen me walk down to the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. Stuart, right here, why don't we put some beautiful pictures up of the memorial. It was such a tragic event for our city. I remember I was changing a diaper when it happened. We all remember what we were doing on that momentous day, but for every bad thing there is a good thing, and it really brought our city together. It has made us a more, I think, cohesive community, and we do remember and we never forget, and it was handled with such style and such grace and such love that it always makes me proud and sad to reflect back upon it. But if you want to do a little bit of your own research on the history of the Oklahoma City bombing, I encourage you to do it. And I have told hundreds of people who come by to see the cottage when they're in town from out of state that they definitely need to take a tour just a few blocks away to see the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. Okay, so this is what I see when I come out the back. And it's still a work in progress, but we have definitely really gotten a lot of things done. But what I want to show you today is just how gorgeous these tulips look. So this is that blend. I want to say it begins with an A, Atakia or something like that. But look at the gorgeousness of this blend, and look at the perfect color echo with these geraniums, and then how pretty they look kind of in surround with the pillows and with everything else going on back here. I've just got, I may be a day away from getting this staged, the rest with what I need to do. I'll probably finish that up tomorrow when it's a little less windy. But the tulips look gorgeous, and I'm thinking maybe next year I need to double them because they are just so beautiful. And I might even want to put some in my planting boxes. So back here, today, I'm going to get some lettuces in. I got all this stuff at Bricks. Normally I grow this stuff from seed, but because I'm getting such a late start, I'm not, but I'll get these in. I'll finish my herbs in there. I got some tomatoes planted in here. And I think we're going to be fine because the weather forecast doesn't look like we're going to have any kind of freeze really much below, I don't think even below 40. So I think we're going to be fine. And then I'll finish this up back here. And I have to say, my sweet new little bench looks very befitting with its red color in everything that's going on back here. Stuart, right behind you, at your feet, is one. There is one. Over here, there is a second one over there. And then over here, if you want to walk over this way, you can see on the other side of this big bunch of tulips, there is a third, and you guys were kind enough to point out to me that that is Salvia argentea, I believe. And I think it's going to put up a pretty stalk. My friend Carolina Elizabeth gave me that, I think, last year. And last year they grew some, but they didn't really grow a lot. This year I anticipate that they will really, really get tall and mammoth and beautiful, and will kind of repeat the other kind of gray notes that are back here. Look at how pretty that light looks on the, well, it was there for a minute. It was there for a minute, and then it went away. And then why don't I just end on a great big old mess over here? Because this is all being cleaned up, the shed is being fixed, but more of the gravel has been put down. My walkway on the east side of the house has been finished. It's been re-graveled. Now I just need a good rain. So let's close on these beautiful tulips over here because, well, let's just say it is a day full of delights, and a good bit of that delight was being able to hang out with you guys. Thanks so much for spending your Saturday with me. Come back tomorrow. We've got lots of fun things, and while the tulips are at their peak, I'm going to try to post almost every day because right now the tableau is in constant change. It is very much a dynamic thing, not a static thing right now. So I want to make sure that we squeeze every moment of beauty out of it that we possibly can. You guys take care.